If you've been wanting to develop an email marketing program for your business or evolve the one that you currently have, this video is definitely for you. It's going to be a little bit of a long journey. We're going to cover a lot of topics and you're going to have to hang in there with me. But I can guarantee you at the end of this, you will be able to evolve your email marketing into something that really works for you and for your business. My name is Kimberly Beer, and you can think of me as your entrepreneurial wise woman. Here's some stats about me. If you'd like to join my VIP list, you can press pause and click on that QR code. But I want to get us into this topic right off the bat. So first of all, why email marketing is important. And for most people these days, I don't have to spend a lot of time selling the concept of email marketing to you, but I do want to remind you of some reasons why this particular tool is important. The first one is email is the number one way brands communicate with customers and consumers. Now, in my world, I draw a designation between a consumer as somebody who hasn't actually purchased from my business and a customer as someone who has. And email marketing is really the way that most businesses or brands communicate with both consumers and customers. Email is easy. It is accessible to all sizes and levels of businesses. It is controlled by the list owner and not by a third party like social media, which means that you know who's on the list, who's subscribed, and who's unsubscribed. Also, email has a huge return on your financial and time investments. In other words, it's a low cost, high value marketing proposition. All of those are reasons why we should be using email. Now, the thing that has happened is email, the way that we use email as businesses has evolved. Actually, the way consumers use email has evolved too. So back when I very first started this, a lot of email marketing was designed to replace what used to be a print newsletter. And so the old way of doing email is newsletter focused. That is compared to now when it is content quality focused. In other words, the emails that you deliver to people, the number one complaint that they have or the reason that they unsubscribe is because those emails are not relevant to them. So they don't contain something that's relevant to where they are in the customer journey and where they are in their lives and in context to your business. Back then, we used to send out blanket whole list communications rather frequently. Now we want to make sure we segment and personalize the information and communications that we put out into the world. They need to go to audiences that where they're meeting that audience in the moment that audience needs that message, and it comes along as personalized. Back then, they were processed by a person. So somebody actually created the email and decided when to send it. And if it was segmented, they would qualify the segment and send it to that list. Today, a lot of that is handled through automation. Now, depending upon what you're willing to invest in your email marketing program, that automation can get really complex and incredibly responsive. Back then, our emails were very sales focused. Today, they are service focused. People do not suffer a lot of inane emails selling them things in their inbox. The ease of which people can unsubscribe from an email list is very, very simple. So being able to hit that unsubscribe button when you're frustrated with getting the third email in a week from a company that is hard selling you as a consumer is just a click of a button. And so as an email service, as an email provider, as somebody who's doing email marketing, you need to be cognizant that that is the way your customers can handle this if they want to. So we need to make sure we stay service focused and relevant. Those are two incredibly important things. Back in the day, deliverability was a secondary concern. Like, we didn't get too overexcited about being able to set up things that really meant our emails were delivered. We could depend on a pretty good deliverability rate, but like everything internet associated, A lot of people have kind of spoiled that opportunity by sending spams, hacking, all of the other things. So deliverability is now a primary concern. And I'm going to cover some ways that you can improve your deliverability of your email towards the end of the presentation. So if you're really here for that, maybe scoot that direction if you want to know that now. All right, so here's some hallmarks of professional email marketing. And when I'm talking about email marketing, I'm not talking about sending something through your Gmail account. I'm talking about using professional strength marketing. And here are some hallmarks of those. Uses information from a CRM program to make decisions. So CRM stands for Customer Relationship Management, and it's basically software or a system, if you're using something analog, that tracks where customers are in your business and certain qualities about those customers that you can use to make email marketing decisions. All right, it needs to have all list members opted in. I never teach an email marketing class that somebody doesn't ask me where to buy an email list. And every single time I have to tell them you can't. It is against regulations to buy lists and spam people. That is what spam is. Not only is it against the regulations, and yes, you can get around it, but it's not a good business practice because you're not reaching the appropriate people. Marketing is something, especially in our current environment, where people have to want to receive that message, and ideally they should be aligned with who your ideal customer is. And when you are marketing to people who are not your ideal customer, two outcomes are going to happen. Either the people that come in and purchase from you aren't going to be happy, or you're going to spend a lot of money reaching people who will never buy from you. So opting in is important. Your email program should be segmented and personalized. So you should be looking to collect personal data from people. The more they're into your business, the more personal that should get. And by personal, I don't mean their income range or like personal data, but personal data in context to your business. In other words, what product did they buy? What emails have they clicked on? What services are they interested in? When did they come to your business? What's their anniversary of your business? Maybe collect a birth date, not a year, but the day and the month, so you can give them a special. But make sure that you're segmenting, you know what their interests are, you know where they are in the customer journey, and you can communicate to them in unique ways that are personal to them and in context where they are in association with your business. Another hallmark is that your email marketing should have at least some basic automations. And by that, I mean when people join your list, they should get a welcome email that sets expectations for how you're going to communicate with them. And they should get responder emails when they communicate with your company. That would be a base level. At a higher level, it would be them being able to work through a nurture sequence based on their behaviors and move all of the way into a sale and have the system determine when certain messages get sent based upon how that individual is responding to the messages they've already received. Also, in context to that, your email system needs to tie into your sales and customer support systems. In other words, your email marketing needs to have access to where customers are on the customer journey and also where they are in needing support. So that's why a CRM is so useful, is because it usually contains all of that. Another hallmark is that it's spam compliant, and that means that people are opted in, that you're not sending messages to people who didn't want the messages, that you are not overloading people's inboxes without their permission, etc., etc. So spam compliancy is important. Has a deliverability program. I mentioned this in the previous slide, but deliverability is becoming a really big deal in the current situation that we're experiencing. And I'm recording this in early 2025, but it's become to the point that spam has gotten so bad that a lot of email service providers are really shutting down A lot of email communications that come from email marketing service providers in getting into the inbox, and you have a reputation that you need to keep up, and there's some check marks that you need to put into place in your email marketing program to make sure that your emails are actually reaching who you're sending them to. And then the final thing I want to mention here is that a professional email marketing program does employ a quality list building program. Now, for some of you, that may mean having a lead magnet that creates a small victory for your clients, to being able to get people onto your list through speaking engagements, social media, podcasting. I mean, a myriad of ways that you are building your list and that you're bringing new people in, as well as maintaining your relationship with people you already have in your customer base. A question I get asked a lot at this point in helping people understand how email marketing comes together is, what's the difference between a CRM and email marketing? So a CRM is something that facilitates and tracks the customer journey. It also keeps track of a lot of information. It offers the ability for a system to automate based upon that information in it. It provides tools for connections, meetings, actions, tasks, etc., depending upon the CRM. It gives accessibility to a customer history and information, and it eases the follow-up process. So it's basically the database that keeps track of all of your customer interactions. Email marketing is the communication that results based upon the data that's in the database. So it's just simply the communication arm of your CRM. SMS text messaging is also another type of marketing that works very similar to email marketing. Still a little bit more personal, so people are a little less likely to give away their phone number, although that is becoming more common as I am recording this. All right, there's different types of email marketing that I think every business has. First of all, there's your regular recurring content. This is kind of that newsletter format. It's still appropriate even now, but it should not be the bulk of the communications that you're sending out to your customers. But it's basically regular recurring content that you're delivering via email. Then also there's customer journey email nurtures. This is where we're meeting the customer or consumer where they are in the process and helping facilitate them getting to the next step of that process. There's also communication email marketing. So this is us being able to serve and sell in what we would consider regular communications to customers that we already have. There's account specific email marketing that is marketing to a customer in a very specific account based way, which I'll cover when I get to that. I'm going to break all of these out for you and cover them in more detail. And then there's re-engagement, because no business owner is perfect at keeping up their communication 100% with their customers unless they have a huge email marketing department, and chances are those people are watching this video. So we do want to make sure we have in place ways that we can go back and re-engage with people who have fallen out of our system or when we've fallen out of communication with them. All right, so let's break each of those down. So there's regular recurring. This is the first type we're going to cover. And to me, this is a serialized program. Some businesses approach it as, I'm going to send out an email every week with what I'm doing. Others, it's every month. Some, it's every quarter. I mean, it just comes on a cycle that you communicate with people. So I'm going to give you examples from my own business. I have a podcast. When a podcast episode comes out, I send an email. That is regular recurring content. In other words, I'm just letting people know that the podcast is out there. That is email marketing. It's getting people to the podcast, which is then going to help them determine if I'm a good fit to work with. Also send out emails about these YouTube videos that I do. It should be quality, and it should be helpful, and it should be in context and relevant to the people that you're sending it to. In other words, don't send things that don't make your regular recurring emails so newslettery that no one ever wants to read them. Also keep these shorter. I think people tend to get them really long, and people don't suffer length in emails very easily. So make sure you keep them short and to the point. The goal here is to keep your customers connected and engaged, and also to communicate to customers who are not currently in a nurture cycle or currently working with your business. In other words, to subtly remind people that you still exist and that if they ever need your product or service again or need it now, they can reach out. In other words, it's just, hey, let's stay top of mind here. Importance for these emails is medium, frequency can be weekly, monthly, quarterly, etc. If you let too long lapse in between, it gets a little harder to build that communication up. Hence, when we talk about re-engagement. All right, this is the type of email that I feel the customer nurture emails that a lot of businesses are really lacking. And these are probably the most important of the sets of emails that you can create in moving your bottom line. So very important for you to consider this as best you can. The thing you have to understand in order to create customer nurtures is you have to understand how people move through your business. And I'm going to give you just a very brief overview of something you will hear me talk about repeatedly if you come to my classes or you hang out on this YouTube channel for very long. And that is the consumer and customer journeys. Now, the consumer journey is not my invention. It came from a gentleman named Eugene Schwartz, and it was actually developed way back in 1966. But it's so relevant to how we do email marketing and how customers move through businesses. And I think it makes it so simple for people to understand as a business owner who they're communicating to and when. So the 5 cycles in this are unaware, problem aware, solution aware, your solution aware, and most aware. Now, unaware people and problem aware people and typically solution aware people aren't going to be on my email, on your email list. Those are unaware people. They're unaware. They're really very unmarketable. And if you're trying to market to them, it's a whole nother can of worms. If you are marketing to problem aware people, these are people who are going to find you through word of mouth, through blogs, through a whole lot of other side doors to your business. Solution aware people are using Google. They're finding you that way, or they're asking their friends for recommendations. Most aware is your email gold. These are the people that are typically going to be signed up for your email nurture series and want to know more about your business. Now, depending on the type of business you have, the speed at which people go from your solution aware to most aware can be momentary. I mean, it can be one email instantaneous, or it may take months or even years for them to understand that your solution is the solution to solving their problem. Once people decide to make a connection, so kind of most aware, your solution aware, right about in there, they move into the customer journey and they make a connection with you. So they reach out. Now we're really into being able to build something through email marketing. So once they've made that connection, if we can get them to turn loose of their email address, then we can get to communicating with them and helping them understand how we do business, thus moving them further into being most aware. The next step in this is consideration. That's the consumer thinking, is this the right solution for me? Should I go ahead and participate? Am I really ready to do something? And connection and consideration kind of happen along with most aware and your solution aware, sort of all at the same time or very quickly in rapid succession. Then we get to the conversion phase. And this is another place where email marketing can really shine in helping people navigate the sales process. Like, what is the next best step for that individual to work with your company? So conversion is where you're actually making the sale. Then email marketing continues. Marketing does not stop when the money changes hands. Marketing continues, and it continues on into the service area of the customer relationship. So as people move into this, they're receiving their product or service, and your email marketing is supporting them in that. It's helping them understand if they need to buy something more or additional, or if they want to buy something more or additional, that's called an upsell. Or if there's other things that they need to understand to make their customer experience positive, happy, and really encourage them to provide you with good reviews and feedback and social proof. All part of the equation. And then finally, there's loyalty. And this is another place that email marketing super shines, because it helps you bring that customer back into the customer cycle. And you always want to do that if you have a business that supports it, because returning customers spend more and they bring their friends. And it is always easier to sell to a customer you've already invested in all this time and effort in than it is to go back to the beginning and bring somebody through the process all over again, brand new. So treating those people like the gold they are is critical. So here's where your nurture sequences really help. And you want to look at it as creating automations that basically send messages via email or SMS text, or supported by SMS text, to move a consumer into being a customer, to move an inquiry into being a sale, to move a sale into the service phase, and then also to get people to return, review, and refer your business. So building all of this out is a proposition, okay? It takes time, and it is a never-ending improvement. In other words, you always are looking for ways to improve it, because the better you understand the cycle, the more apt you are to deliver the pertinent message at the right time, so that people make that buying process easier and easier and easier. And that facilitates more and more growth in your bottom line. All right, so let's move on to the next type of email, which is way faster to talk about, and that's communications. So in every business, in every marketing, there are times we need to make announcements, we need to invite people to things, we need to provide them with news, and we need to let them know if we have any launches going on. And this is another type of email marketing. Now, this type of email marketing can be provided whole list, or it could be provided to a specific segment. So let me give you two examples. If we're having an open house, we want to invite everybody. Hey, come on in. That's an announcement and an invite. If we have a product that is receiving an update, or there's a new opportunity for people who have purchased that product previously to come back and add something on, then we're going to segment that just to the group that purchased that product or service, whatever your business model happens to be. So this type of email is very pointed, it's very quick, and it can be whole list or it can be segmented. All right, then there are account-specific emails. These are emails that go out, sometimes in automations, sometimes as support. Types of these emails are welcome emails. Those are account-specific. Product, like when somebody purchases something, that walks them through the steps of using it, or thanks them, or gets them to review or refer. Timeline-based emails like anniversaries, birthdays, or milestone type emails. Abandoned cart or reclaimed sale. So those are automations that you can set up in your e-commerce, that if people don't check out all of the way through, then they'll get an email that reminds them that their cart is still there. I get these all the time from Amazon because I love to look at stuff and then not buy it. So abandoned cart is a common email I get. Transactional emails, like things where people have paid for something, or any type of a transaction that happens between your business and that customer. These are all still marketing emails. They're touch points and they deserve your attention. And then finally, personal relationship building, where you're sending maybe a one-to-one communication out to somebody just to check in with them. Maybe it's not even based on an automation, but maybe you saw a post on social media about one of your customers doing something great, and you want to reach out to them and say, hey, I want to cheerlead for you. Congratulations on what you've done. Or if they have a question or a struggle, maybe you can offer assistance or support. All right, the last type of email that we're going to talk about is that all important re-engagement email. So this is where we're going to reclaim unengaged list members, and they maybe have come unengaged due to our fault or due to circumstances in their own lives. But these type of emails are specific to a group of people that maybe haven't interacted with your business in a certain period of time. You are going to designate that accordingly in your specific business. The desire here is to inspire and encourage return and loyalty, and also to encourage referrals and get those people back into being engaged with the business. Importance is medium and frequency is as needed depending upon how you are showing up in their inbox. All right, so let's talk about some step-by-step ways that you can evolve your email marketing. These are going to get very specific. So step one is to choose a tool. So I get a lot of asks for what would I recommend? And I have tools that I recommend all of the time based on conversations I have with clients. And it's really hard for me to recommend the perfect tool for you. I would love to show you tools that I have available, and then we'll see which one fits. I'm reminded of Harry Potter getting his wand for the very first time. You have to find one that works for you. Otherwise, you're either not going to use it or it's going to blow stuff up. All right. I can give you some guidelines, however, that will help you choose the right tool. So the first thing that you need to look at when evaluating tools for a CRM and email marketing is, does it have all the things that specifically save or make you time and or money? So do you need it to do administrative tasks? Do you need it to have a sales component, a service component, reporting, integrations? All of those things are really important. And if you find yourself constantly making concessions for a software tool, you need to fire it. Your software should be treated like an employee. If it is not performing at the level that helps move your company forward, then you need to have a serious meeting with it. And if it doesn't adjust itself, even if you are responsible for that adjustment, then you need to find a tool that you can either get along with better or will adjust itself to fit your specific circumstances. A few other questions that I find super helpful is, does it jive with your team? I've put CRM tools into businesses where the owner was super excited about it, but the team members were like, this is too hard, or they had something they wanted to do differently, and we had to adjust in order to get them into the right tool. Does it support your niche? So there are some CRM and email marketing tools that are niche specific. Some of them are generalists. They'll work for any type of business, but some of them really work specifically with different industries or types of businesses. And sometimes those are a better choice for those particular niches. Is it scalable? Is it going to continue to work for you as your business grows? And also, just to cap that, is it so scalable that you're never going to use most of the features? Like, you don't need to have access to all of that. Does it use AI in a way that supports you? Like, almost every tool today is coming with AI built into it. And that is going to get, in my opinion, to be more and more and more prevalent in these tools. So when you're evaluating a tool, is it using artificial intelligence in a way that supports you? Does the user interface feel good? Some tools allow you to customize the user interface with your company colors and you're happy with it, but CRM and email marketing tools are dependent upon you using them in order to actually create the success they promise. And if you don't want to use a tool because you can't tolerate the interface based either on aesthetics or it's confusing to you, find a different piece of software. Does it play nice with your other software? Does it integrate with the things you need it to integrate with? Many CRMs have like outgoing billing, like invoicing, but they don't tend to keep track of the other half of the accounting, which is the income, the you paying your bills. So it tracks the invoicing your customers paying you, but not the opposite. Wow, that was a long explanation of something that was relatively simple, huh? But you want to make sure it plays nice. I mean, you need it to play nice with your accounting tool. Does it? Does it have an integration? Most of the times that's QuickBooks, and almost all of them do. But sometimes there's things outside of that system. So you have to look and ask, does it play nice with your other software? This one is also really important. Can you sell it with your business? So if somebody purchases your business and this is something that is very dependent upon your business's success, because once you evolve your email marketing and your CRM, it's going to become integral to how your business operates. Can you sell it with your business? And is there an exit door? So if you decide you want to change tools or do something different, can you get your data out of it and actually move it somewhere else? Or are there going to be a lot of obstacles in actually getting that done? Different companies, different software companies make it easy. Some make it hard. Some don't have an exit door at all. So make sure you find that out in the beginning. So answering all those questions are really important in choosing the tool. I've listed some common tools that people use. This is by no means an exhaustive or complete list. This just happens to be some that I'm aware of. These are tools that constantly get talked about in my classes, and it's just a way for me to help share those. All right. Part 2 of choosing a tool is, does it fit where you are on your business journey? So I see businesses go through different stages in their development. So some businesses are in their discovery stage. So those businesses do not need a tool that has all of the full features in it. Basically, they need a tool that helps them build a list and communicate and maybe do some administrative tasks. Then businesses start to get into their shaping stage. And in this, they need a tool that is very flexible. In other words, that will grow with them. And this is why you want to look for that exit door, because you may want to move software because you've moved stages. So the shaping stage, a lot of the times here, business owners are writing those nurture sequences. They're figuring out their customer journey. And sometimes they don't have all of the parts and pieces in place yet, or they are needing to make pretty routine changes, and they need software that can flex with them. The next stage up is the establishment stage, and that's when you get your business really to that first big milestone. You're making money, you know what you're doing, you're feeling confident, and now you know a lot about what you didn't know in the shaping and discovery stages, so you can choose a tool that is a little different. I often find that this is a stage that people move CRMs. So they'll move from the tool that they started with and that they shaped their business with into a tool that's really going to be supportive. The next stage up is the perfecting stage. And so at the establishment stage, you want to choose a tool that has some scalability to it, because you're going to continue to perfect it, and then you're going to expand. And this is another place that I think people shuffle CRMs a little bit. And if they made a good decision in the establishment stage, then by the time they get to expansion, they're still pretty happy with that tool. Now, the final 2 stages are the resting stage. This is status quo. This is the easy place, and you should have an established CRM by this point. And then finally, destiny stage, which is kind of, you've reached the pinnacle of where you're going to stay, at your business. So this is a stage when you should have already picked a CRM and should be pretty well involved with it. Now, if you have a business that somehow missed the whole technology revolution and you're trying to go from analog to a CRM and you're kind of in that destiny or resting stage, you're probably going to have a little bit of a learning curve. And I would actually say you're probably getting kicked back to expansion a little bit. So just understand the stage of your business will help you pick a tool. People who are in the discovery and shaping stage do not need the same tools as people who are in perfecting and expansion. So you can get away with a less expensive, less high maintenance tool in those first couple of stages. All right. The next step that we're going to do is we are going to ensure the deliverability of our emails, of our communications. The first thing is to establish a domain email. And this means you're going to send your email from somebody's name at your domain. So for me, it's Kim at Be More Business. It's going to be whatever that equivalent is for you. Do not use generic email names like info or contact. If you want to use something that doesn't necessarily have a person's name in it, I recommend a person's name. But if you're going to buck that system, make it something cute or clever. For a little while, I had some people helping me with some things around the ranch. And so I had dreams at thebeerranch.com. Info, contact, office, all of those type of emails, they are damaging to your deliverability because email service providers recognize those as basically non-personal communications, and email is a personal communication tool. And sometimes they will dump them into a spam box, or basically sync them somewhere in the user's inbox that they're not going to get as much interaction with them, even if that user really wants them. So make sure you establish your domain email and that you're using your domain email for your email communications and email marketing. The next thing what we need to do is we need to validate our credentials for deliverability. And this also has to do with your domain. So part of the way that your email deliverability works is that it works off of domain authority. It's another reason why we want to use our domain and our email address. But you can establish some things around that domain that help tell the systems that you are a legitimate business, that you're committed to not spamming people, and that this is a communication that somebody has opted in for. Now, I'm not going to dig into how to do this in this particular video. And honestly, if you want to do it, it's easy to Google these, or here's a technique. Put it into ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini and say, how do I set up a DKIM record for my business? And it will walk you through step by step how to do it far better than I can. I will miss 3 steps and have to go back and get them. So I do it on a routine basis, but even I will look to an AI to help me with this, especially if it is a domain service provider that I'm not familiar with. So validate your credentials. These are 3 records that you need to be very concerned with. Write down the acronyms and then go ask AI how to do it for your specific domain. So DKIM, SPF, and DMARC. Those are 3 things you need to know about deliverability and that you need to establish really even before you start sending emails. All right. The next step is to get compliant. So first of all, understand what it means to opt in and set up your opt-in. So customers have to indicate they want to be on your list to receive messages. Don't trick them or add people from bot lists or done through searches. And you should have a welcome email that sets expectations for future communications. So I already covered why it's not a good idea to buy an email list, but people always ask questions of me about what indicates that it's okay for somebody, or what indicates from a customer that they've opted in. Ideally, they have either checkmarked, verbally said, or entered their email address into a box where it was designated that they are signing up for whatever email list it is that you have. I don't like to call them email lists because who in the heck wants to be on an email marketing list, right? It's kind of like being on that telemarketing list. Instead of the no call list, let's be on the do call me list. Instead, I call it my VIP list, and I want to couch it that way because I do treat the people on it like VIPs. I want them to have the best communications from my company. And so VIP really fits for me. Some other term or designation might work better for your company. So you've got to figure that out on your own. But definitely discern that this is an email list. That's the ideal way to get them to opt in. Legally, you can communicate to anybody who has provided you with their email address in the course of doing business with them. So if they've bought something from you, you can send marketing emails to them, but it's better if you get full on opt-in compliance. Okay. Being spam compliant is also really important. And this is another reason we want to use an email marketing tool, is because email marketing tools have built into them the ability to track unsubscribes and keep those people from receiving marketing emails that would kick you into not being spam compliant. Also, every email must offer both your contact information outside email and a click to unsubscribe. So this means that you are going to have to provide a mailing address to your email service provider, and that mailing address will be at the bottom of every email. And you also need to have somewhere in any blanket marketing email that you send out the ability for somebody to click a link and unsubscribe from your email list. In different countries, being spam compliant is also different. So in the UK, as well as a lot of places outside of the US, the user has to know, you have to have in place ways for the user to eradicate information out of your system. In other words, to completely delete and purge that user's information from your system. In the US, we don't have that yet. I would say get ready for it at some point, but for right now, as long as that person has said, yes, I want to be on your list, or has done business with you where they have willingly exchanged their email address to you, you can go ahead and send them emails. If they unsubscribe, you track that and just don't email back to them again. Some CRMs will let you communicate with one-to-one email with people who have actually unsubscribed from your list. They just won't be able to receive blanket marketing emails that go through whatever that system's broadcast system is or automation system is. All right, the next step we want to do is to map it out. And by map it out, I mean your customer and consumer journeys. So if you want to back up to that slide that was previous where I talked about the customer and consumer journeys, feel free to do so. That's a great place for you to start thinking about how people move through your business. When I help people set up email marketing programs, one of the very first things I do is I ask them to look at their established workflows for administration, sales, and service. And I always like starting with established systems first because it takes off the need for them to learn software and create a system at the same time. So in general, I look at the map of their consumer and customer journeys and figure out what they already know pretty well. And then we implement the email marketing programs that fit in those spaces first, because that gives them an opportunity to learn the software in context to an already established system. Definitely do your research on how your competitors in industry are handling their processes. Sometimes you can find really good answers in their systems that will solve problems for you, and you don't have to worry about trying to figure out how to solve that problem. Also consider your brand flair at all times. In other words, you want people to know that this is an email that they're getting from you and not one of your not a competitor. All right, next step, build your list. So everywhere you come into contact with customers is an opportunity, or even consumers, is an opportunity to collect an email address and get an opt-in. And also to help determine where that customer is in context to your business, what their interests are, and how you can segment and personalize your communications to them. Capture leads from your website, capture leads from social media, create a set of useful rotating lead magnets. In other words, things that give customers a small success that leads them to your business, to building trust with your business, and will lead them to maybe even being a better customer when they finally do get to your business and get to the purchase phase of things, when they get into that conversion. All right, we're on to step 6. Write your emails. Definitely consider your audience. You don't speak to somebody who is in the your solution aware phase as you do to somebody who's already done business with you. Make sure you're speaking to people in context to where they are on that journey. What do they need right now for that particular step is one of the first questions that you should ask yourself. Do keep your emails concise and skimmable. And the way that we do that is using short sentences, bullets, short paragraphs, italic, color, bolds, and colors. Don't overwhelm them. That simply, that was the word simply in there, guide the eye through the email. People generally do not read emails verbatim, word for word. They may read a blog post that way, but in general, they're not going to read an email that way. So they're going to skim it to get the best information. So make sure that when you're writing your content, it's easily skimmable, and then they can dwell deeper if it's something that they want to look at. Remember, relevance is important. Make an intentional call to action. And this again is going to vary depending upon the type of email that you're sending and who it's being delivered to. What you always want to do is look at what is the next best step for that particular person. Also, only use one call to action. I know this drives people crazy, but the more calls to action you put in an email, the less likely you are to get somebody to actually respond to that call to action. So ideally, keep it to one. I know it's super hard, but try. Keep your images minimal in context and make sure that they're relevant and that they're also not getting in the way of people being able to read the emails. So if you have a large photo and that's what shows up in the first draw of the email in the person's inbox, and they don't scroll because all of the relevant information is under that image better be pretty darn compelling to get them to scroll down to read. So just really be careful with your images. And in the scheme of things, you should always be putting more time in your subject lines than you are into the content of the email. It takes longer. And I will tell you, you can utilize AI to help you with this, but please do not take what AI gives you and do it verbatim. I'm recording this in 2025. I think I've mentioned that before, but AI is just not completely enough along to be able for you to just dunk something into it and take it verbatim without reading it. So do put time and effort. Talk to AIs, ask it to help you rewrite the headlines, but put more time into that part of the process than even you do your content. All right, we're on to step 7. We only have one more after this one. We have step 8. So step 7 is automation. Once you have kind of a little bit of an established system, in other words, you're understanding how people are moving through your business, what's working in your email marketing program, anything that is repetitive, automate it. Anything in the sales, service, loyalty, education departments that you find you're doing on a repetitive basis, automate that. Anything that is routine, automate it. Automate the repetitive stuff first, then automate the routine stuff. And I say that because I know you, dear sweet entrepreneur, you have ideas about how to make things better for your customers that should be routine, but you don't always do them. The things that are repetitive that you do repeatedly, those are the easiest things to automate. Then start adding the level up flares. Start evolving it after you have the original form sort of put together. Next, stop your follow-up failure with automations. So follow-up is one of the number one ways that we lose a sale. We don't follow up with people. And it is an astounding problem across the board for entrepreneurs. Setting up automated responders to everything from email, from reminders for meetings to following up with somebody you met at a networking event, setting all that up in advance and making it so that all you have to do is add a tag or create a behavior in your world, which is even better because it's better if the automations cue off of behaviors. So for example, every time you enter a new contact into your CRM, they get a welcome email. Okay. That's an example of a behavior initiating an automation. So it's a very simple one, but it works. Make sure you have those in place and then go in and create automations where the customer self-selects their path when possible, because software is more reliable than humans. And it also doesn't let a lot of personal stuff get in its way. In other words, it doesn't worry about being rejected. It just sends the email. All right, we're on to our last step, and that is analyzing how you're doing. So email marketing, when you're evolving it, is constant and never ending improvement. So what we're wanting to look at is how can we do it better? And the best way for us to figure that out is to look at what is happening with it right now. So here are some common things that I find in email marketing that people experience and want to know answers to. So if you're not getting enough people to open your emails, and by the way, a kind of standardized good email open rate is between 8 and 20%. So if too few people are opening it, check your from. That's number one. They aren't recognizing who you are. Think about how you read your email, like really analyze it. You tend to look at the from line before you look at the subject line. That's the way our email readers are set up. From is important, and it's a place we tend to forget. We like look at the subject line and think it's the problem, but sometimes it's the from. They don't recognize the email address or the name in that line. So look at that first, and then look at your subject line. If people aren't opening the email, your subject lines are not compelling, or your from is confusing and not relative to them. If you're not getting clicks, if you're getting opens, but you're not getting people to click on what's inside the email, rework your call to action. That's where the click is coming from. If you're getting a lot of unsubscribes, look at your content and focus on getting your content to verify your relevance to that particular group of people. If you're getting too many spam complaints, look at your opt-in strategy. Are you being clear that they're being opted into a list? Are you clear with your welcome email about what your expectations are? And then are you adhering to that? And by the way, that works both directions. If you're sending too many emails, you can get a spam complaint. And also, if you don't send enough emails, people forget who you are and think you're spam and mark you as spam. So both of those can be problems in this area. If you're not getting enough engagement, ask yourself, are you emailing or communicating regularly so people are expecting emails from you? And are you segmenting so people are actually getting relevant messages to where they are in the process? If you have low deliverability, in other words, people keep complaining they're not getting your emails, check and make sure your DKIM, SPF, and DMARC records are on par, and then work on your domain authority. And domain authority comes from age, it comes from verification in those records we just talked about, and it comes from sending emails where there aren't a lot of spam complaints, where they go through, people aren't complaining. So in the case of domain authority, no news to the email service providers is good news. In other words, nobody's marking you as a spam person. People are opening your emails, acting like they're relevant. And it's not just that customer, it's kind of an overall look. Computers and algorithms are really, really amazing at crunching a lot of data. So you can't really sneak under the radar here, because they're going to see it if you are getting a lot of spam complaints or if your emails aren't getting opened. All right, that concludes the steps to evolve your email marketing. I want to thank you if you hung into this presentation all of the way to the end. I know it's a lot of information, but hopefully this has been somewhat of a masterclass in how to evolve your email marketing. If you'd like to spend more time with me to know about things that I'm up to, please scan that code or go to bemorebusiness.com and sign up for my VIP list, and be sure to subscribe to me here on YouTube, and there will be more of these videos coming your way in the future. Thank you so much for hanging out with me.